Finding great salespeople is hard. It's honestly one of the biggest challenges a company faces. Why is that? Well, because the role is unique. It's not just about what someone knows, it's about who they are. A great salesperson is, this rare blend of confidence and humility. They have this unshakable belief in their product, but also a deep empathy for their customer. They've got to be resilient, able to hear no 100 times, and still approach the next conversation with optimism. They really are the face of the company, the bridge between the product and the person who needs it. This isn't a role you can fill with just anyone who has a nice resume. It honestly requires a specific kind of person, and that person is hard to find. But the complexity goes even deeper. The cost of a bad hire in sales is, immense. It's not just the lost salary and training expenses. It's the lost opportunities, the missed quotas, the damaged customer relationships. A salesperson who doesn't fit the company's culture can poison the well, discouraging the rest of the team. They can misrepresent the brand, creating problems that might take years to fix. So the stakes are incredibly high. Companies aren't just filling a vacancy, they're really entrusting a piece of their future to a new person. They're looking for someone who doesn't just sell, but who believes. Someone who will carry the company's why into every conversation. This challenge is magnified because what makes a salesperson successful in one company could actually lead to failure in another. A star performer at a fast-paced tech startup might struggle in the more traditional, relationship-based world of industrial equipment sales. The culture, the sales cycle, the customer profile, it all matters. This means there's no universal template for a top salesperson. Each company has to first understand its own identity, its own cause, before it can hope to find the people who will champion it. The search isn't for a salesperson, it's for our salesperson. So, we start with this fundamental truth. Recruiting salespeople is not a transactional process. It is a quest. It's a search for individuals who align with the company's purpose. It's about finding people who will not just do the job, but who will join the cause. When we see it this way, the process really changes. It becomes less about ticking boxes and more about making a human connection. It becomes less about what a candidate has done and more about why they do what they do. This is the foundation upon which a truly great sales team is built, one person at a time. It's a challenge, yes, but it's a worthy one. So, who is responsible for this critical task? Who stands at the gate, deciding who gets to join the cause? Typically, it's a partnership. The human resources department and the sales manager work together. But, their roles are distinct, and understanding this distinction is key. HR professionals are the architects of the process. They know the laws, the best practices for fair hiring, and how to cast a wide net to attract a diverse pool of candidates. They build the framework, making sure the search is organized, efficient, and compliant. They're the guardians of the company's overall culture, making sure any new hire will add to the collective, not take away from it. The sales manager, on the other hand, is the guardian of the team's specific culture. They know the daily grind, they understand the specific challenges and triumphs of their market. They know, on a gut level, what it takes to succeed on their team. The sales manager has to be deeply involved because they'll be the one leading this new person. They'll be the one coaching them, motivating them, and holding them accountable. If the sales manager isn't a central part of the hiring decision, the chances of a mismatch really skyrocket. They provide the on-the-ground context that a resume or a formal interview just can't fully capture. This partnership is honestly a beautiful thing when it works. HR provides the structure, and the sales manager provides the substance. Imagine building a house. HR lays the foundation and erects the frame, making sure everything is sound and up to code. The sales manager then comes in to design the rooms, choose the colors, and add the furniture that makes it a home, a place where their team can thrive. Without HR, the house might be unsafe. Without the sales manager, it might be a house, but it won't be a home for the sales team. Their collaboration is essential. Their role matters because they're making a promise. To the company, they promise to find someone who will drive growth and uphold its values. To the candidate, they promise an environment where they can succeed and find fulfillment. A mistake in hiring breaks both of these promises. That's why their responsibility is so profound. They are not just recruiters, they are matchmakers. They are connecting a person's purpose with the company's purpose. And when they get it right, magic happens. The individual flourishes, the team gets stronger, and the entire organization moves forward. Before we can find the right person, we have to first really understand the role we're asking them to fill. This is the purpose of a job analysis. It's kind of the start with why of recruitment. We don't begin by writing a job ad. We begin by asking questions. What does this salesperson really do every day? What is the purpose of this role within the larger organization? What does success look like, not just in numbers, but in behaviors? A job analysis is a systematic process of discovery. It's about dissecting the job to understand its component parts, its challenges, and its essential functions. It's the bedrock upon which the entire hiring process is built. The process should be thorough and collaborative. It involves talking to the people who know the job best, the sales manager, and, crucially, the top-performing salespeople already on the team. Ask them to walk you through a typical day or week. What percentage of their time is spent prospecting? How much is spent in meetings, on the phone, or writing proposals? What are the most difficult parts of the job? What knowledge or skills are absolutely non-negotiable? This isn't about assumptions. It's about collecting real data from the source. It's about creating a clear, honest picture of the role, warts and all. This step-by-step understanding is critical because it prevents us from hiring based on a vague or inaccurate ideal. For example, a company might think it needs an aggressive hunter to find new business, but a job analysis might reveal that the most successful salespeople on the team are actually patient farmers who excel at nurturing long-term relationships with existing clients. Without the analysis, the company would be searching for the wrong profile entirely. The analysis grounds the search in reality, not in fantasy. It ensures we're looking for the person the company actually needs, not the person someone thinks it needs. Ultimately, the job analysis defines the why of the role. It clarifies its purpose. Why does this job exist? To break into a new market, to deepen relationships with key accounts, to sell a complex technical solution that requires deep product knowledge. Each of these purposes requires a different kind of person with a different set of skills and motivations. By taking the time to do a thorough job analysis, we're not just outlining tasks, we are defining a mission. And it is this mission that will guide us in writing the job description and finding the person who is meant to fulfill it. Once we understand the why of the role through job analysis, we can craft the job description. This is not a boring bureaucratic document. It is an invitation. It is the first point of contact with potential candidates. It's our chance to communicate our purpose and attract people who believe what we believe. A great job description does more than just list duties. It tells a story. It paints a picture of the role, the team, and the company culture. It should be clear, compelling, and honest. It should make the right people feel excited, and the wrong people realize this isn't the place for them. That's a good thing. We want to attract, but we also want to repel. A clear job description has 3 essential parts. First, the job duties. This section should be specific and action-oriented. Instead of saying responsible for sales, say develop new business opportunities by prospecting and cold calling into enterprise accounts. Use the information from the job analysis to describe what the person will actually do. Second, the job requirements. This is where we list the necessary skills, experience, and knowledge. Be clear about what is a must-have versus a nice-to-have. This helps candidates self-select. Third, and most importantly, is the environment. Describe the company culture. Is it collaborative or competitive? Fast-paced or methodical? This gives candidates a feel for what it would be like to work there. Think of the job description as a lighthouse. It shines a bright, clear light, guiding the right ships to a safe harbor while helping others steer clear. A vague or poorly written description is like a weak, flickering light. It attracts everyone and no one, leading to a flood of unqualified applicants. For example, a description that says, must be a go-getter is useless. What does that mean? A better description says, must be comfortable making 50 to 60 outbound calls per day to generate new leads. The first is a platitude. The second is a clear expectation. Clarity is kindness. It respects the candidate's time and our own. So we must invest time in writing a great job description. Involve the sales manager and a top salesperson in reviewing it. Does it sound like your company? Does it accurately reflect the role? Does it inspire? Remember, the goal is not to get the most applications, it's to get the right applications. The job description is our first filter. It's our first test of alignment. When we get it right, the people who apply are already one step closer to being the right fit, because they read our invitation and thought, yes, that's me, that's where I belong. With a clear job description in hand, we must now decide on the specific qualifications we are looking for. This is about defining the who that fits our why. It's a process of prioritization. We can't have everything. So, what matters most? This step requires a careful balance between identifying the skills needed for the job and the traits needed for the culture. A common mistake is to over-index on experience, the number of years in a similar role or industry. Experience is important, but it is not the same as competence or cultural fit. A candidate with 10 years of experience might just have 1 year of experience repeated 10 times. We must separate the must-haves from the nice-to-haves. This is a critical trade-off. A must-have is a qualification without which a person simply cannot do the job. For a technical sales role, this might be an engineering degree. For a role requiring extensive travel, it might be a valid driver's license and a willingness to be on the road. These are non-negotiable. Nice-to-haves are things that would be beneficial but could be learned on the job. For instance, experience with a specific CRM software is often a nice-to-have. A smart, adaptable person can learn a new software system, but it's much harder to teach someone resilience or curiosity. This is where we must think about traits, not just skills. Skills are what you can do. Traits are who you are. We can teach someone a new sales methodology. We can't teach them to be optimistic or empathetic. The best companies hire for traits and train for skills. What traits do our best salespeople share? Are they coachable? Are they curious? Do they have grit? Are they good listeners? These intangible qualities are often far better predictors of long-term success than a long list of previous jobs. We must identify the core traits that align with our company culture and make them a central part of our selection criteria. The process of defining qualifications should be a team effort. The sales manager and HR should agree on the final list. It can be helpful to create a scorecard or a rubric that outlines the key qualifications and traits. This ensures that every candidate is evaluated against the same consistent standard. It moves the conversation from, "I liked that person," to "this person scored highly on coachability and prospecting skills," which we identified as critical. This discipline helps to remove bias and focus the decision on what truly matters for success in the role and in the organization. Once we know who we are looking for, the next question is, where do we find them? The process of finding candidates is called sourcing. There are many channels, and the best strategy often involves using a mix of them. We can group these channels into two main categories, internal and external. It is always wise to start by looking inside the company. Is there someone in customer service, marketing, or another department who shows the potential and the desire to move into a sales role? Internal candidates already know the company, the products, and the culture. This can dramatically reduce ramp-up time and risk. Promoting from within sends a powerful message that the company invests in its people. When we look outside, the sources are vast. One of the most powerful external sources is referrals. We should encourage our current employees, especially our top salespeople, to recommend people from their networks. People rarely recommend someone who would make them look bad. A referral often comes pre-vetted for work ethic and character. To make this work, companies should have a formal referral program, perhaps with a bonus for successful hires. It's a simple, cost-effective way to find high-quality candidates who are more likely to be a good cultural fit. Great people tend to know other great people. Then there are the more traditional methods. Online job boards and company career pages are essential for casting a wide net. The key here is to use the compelling job description we wrote to attract the right kind of attention. We can also post on professional networking sites like LinkedIn, which allows for more targeted searching and outreach. Employment agencies and headhunters can also be valuable, especially for senior-level or highly specialized sales roles. They have extensive networks and can do the initial screening for us, saving us time. However, this is often the most expensive option. The pros and cons of each source must be weighed. Internal hires are great, but they can create a new vacancy that needs to be filled. Referrals are powerful, but relying on them too much can lead to a lack of diversity. Job boards bring in high volume, but also many unqualified applicants. Agencies are expensive, but can provide great candidates quickly. The right mix depends on the role, the industry, and the urgency. A smart recruitment strategy doesn't rely on a single source. It uses a portfolio of channels to ensure a steady stream of diverse, high-potential candidates. Sourcing gives us a pool of candidates. Now comes the hard part, selecting the one person who will join the team. This is the selection process. And it should be a multi-stage gauntlet designed to test for the qualifications and traits we identified as critical. It's not about trying to trick candidates, it's about creating opportunities for them to demonstrate who they are and what they can do. The process typically starts with reviewing the application form or resume. This is a basic screen to see if the candidate meets the non-negotiable must-have qualifications. It's the first gate. Those who pass the initial screen move on to the interviews. There should be more than one. A short phone or video interview with HR can be used to screen for basic communication skills and cultural fit. Then, a more in-depth interview with the sales manager is crucial. This is where we dig into their experience, their process, and their motivation. We should use behavioral questions like, "Tell me about a time you lost a deal. What did you learn?" Or describe a complex sale you managed from start to finish. These questions reveal how a person thinks and behaves, not just what they think we want to hear. Involving another top salesperson in an interview can also provide a valuable peer perspective. Beyond interviews, many companies use tests and assessments. A skills test might involve a mock sales call or asking the candidate to prepare and deliver a short presentation on the company's product. This shows us their skills in action, which is far more revealing than just talking about them. Personality tests or psychometric exams can also provide insights into a candidate's traits, their resilience, their optimism, their level of empathy. These tests should never be the only reason to hire or not hire someone, but they can be a valuable piece of data in the overall picture. Finally, checking references is a vital last step. We should talk to former managers to verify the candidate's claims and ask about their strengths and areas for development. In the end, selection is about building a complete picture of the candidate. We combine the resume, the interviews, the test results, and the references. No single piece of information is enough. By using a structured, multi-step process, we reduce the influence of gut feeling and bias, and we increase the chances of making a rational, evidence-based decision. This careful, deliberate process is an investment. It takes time and effort, but it is the only way to build a truly strong sales team. It ensures that when we finally make an offer, we are confident that we have found someone who will not just fill a role, but who will help carry our cause forward.